everyone. Welcome to our Chaparral edition for October, our Haunted Guild, our Guild Haunts edition. My name is Romy, my pronouns are they, them, and I'm here with the wonderful member of our campus, Jeanette Farr-Harkins. Hi, Jeanette, how are you?
Hi, thank you so much for asking me to do this. I'm doing great.
Please, thank you. Thank you for taking the time. We really appreciate it. So as our readers or listeners may remember, this is our Guild Haunts edition. So our focus is about what we have anxiety over, right? Our fears as they relate to our employment, our benefits, all of those, really not stressful topics. So today, I'd really love to get a sense of who you are and some of the concerns in your industry right now. So, how about we just start with, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourselves to our listeners and viewers, your name and your role on our campus.
Yeah, hi everyone. So I am Jeanette Farr-Harkins. I'm a full professor here at GCC, currently the chair of the Theater Arts Department as a part of Visual and Performing Arts.
Wonderful. I have been to at least because I'm a fairly new faculty member, so I haven't been here super long, but I made the Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, I believe, was last year's
Yes,
production, and it was incredible. So kudos to you. And of course, your team.
yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fairly easy choice of a show to make, just because it engaged the community so much. And as an educational institution, it's wonderful to have something that brings an audience in where they also learn, because theater is a powerful tool for that. Thank you for mentioning that.
Oh, of course. I admit it wasn't something that was on my radar, like initially in terms of the programming you had for spring, but when I heard about it through a workshop, I was like, oh, I have to go. And it was truly incredible. I've never seen a production of it before, so I really enjoyed it.
I'm
Well, thank
so
you for
glad.
introducing. Yeah, thank you for introducing yourself. So in terms of the theme, one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, how do you make these tough choices as they relate to the role that you have on campus?
Sure. So um, some are tough and some are quite easy, with clear goals and mission of what theater tries to do. Of course, in the day to day, we have things like auditions, which affect our students. There is usually only one role available, and maybe students want that role.
Mhm.
In other words, the lead.
Mhm.
And as a director of various projects, that can be a tough decision that we have to make. But always in the spirit of education, um, getting them ready for the professional world. They get to learn here, but also feel a safe space to make the mistake.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we make the decision to put a student in a role who would benefit and grow as an actor for that. Um, and yet it might be challenging for them at first, but we see that as a learning opportunity. Um, I think our next production that we have going on, you're going to see a variety of levels and students, but the spirit is so wonderful with the productions. So that's one tough choice. I'm also a playwright, as well as a director and a producer. So I do teach playwriting on campus, and also embody that as a profession. And I'm an empath. So, and a constant observer as an artist of the world. And it's sometimes tough to decide what to choose to focus on
Yeah.
while still preserving the human, because there's a lot going on in the world right now, a lot of scary things going on in the world right now. And so a choice as a professional and as a teacher is, how much do we explore that may be filled with trauma or pain or anxiety, but that is so necessary to explore with the community that comes to see our work.
Yeah. Yeah, as would not surprise anyone, as a playwright, that's very beautifully put. And I love what you say about how do we explore this with a community that's, deeply invested in this community, right? And these experiences and current events and all, especially now with what's going on in the world, right? How can they experience that through the artwork that you and your students in your department present? I think that's a really beautiful answer. So when we talk about these kinds of tough choices, this kind of segues into my other question that I wanted to ask you about when we think about to these issues that you're pointing about, especially now. I mean, kind of feels like for many years, right? All of these kind of mounting conflicts and issues. But what about right now? What do you think is like the most concerning issue that you face or your students face as they try and enter this industry that you're in?
Sure. Well, certainly the local level, uh, there is a lot of talk about fair and a living wage of artists. And I think there are a number of challenges for our students whose heart may be in the profession, but the narrative outside or even within their households are don't pursue a degree in the arts
Yeah.
because it's not going to either make the money or make a living wage. However, there is plenty to celebrate with that because I
Mm-hmm.
do believe as we are creative problem solvers as artists, and theater in particular. You're working on collaboration, you're working on empathy, you're working on compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the challenge is thinking that capitalism and money is where it's all at,
Yeah.
that we need our artists and artistry in the world and our creative problem solvers who may not practice theater, but are going to be in our corporate world and
Mm-hmm.
other fields. We also have a desire for our tradespersons, LA being a vibrant community for entertainment. And we've got some exciting things planned as a part of that, where it'll be direct to workforce experiences for our students. So I see a tremendous amount of hope and always happy to testimonialize in how theater became a found family for me when I was
Yeah.
pursuing it. I think that is true for a lot of our students. It's a sense of community, it's a sense of belonging,
Mm.
and has some really practical skills out in the real world, which I think the world desperately needs.
Yes, I could not agree more. So, two comments. One, you talk about a living wage. I mean, we're literally in this convulsive movement of labor unions going on strike, most notably the
Yes.
WGA and SAG still being on strike. And I know I recently read that their negotiations fell apart. So now we're looking at, how many more days or weeks of these actors, demanding the dignity of a proper wage, right? And the students in
And
your
that
department,
affects so many. Yes.
yes, are looking at this happening, and I'm hoping, to your point, seeing a lot of hope in this movement. And then the other thing you said that I really enjoy is how you teach your students these skills because of theater as a not simply and not only by any means a practical skill, but like a growing up skill, like how to be a person. And I can say, as a
Yes.
former theater kid, um,
Yay.
yeah, it's given me enormous benefit in my life. I mean, public speaking, I think to even some of my colleagues is a little odious, but surviving middle school and high school theater, I can pretty much get on any stage in front of anyone, I think, and be nervous, but be okay. I think that was kind of the trial by fire that I'm sure your students experience as well, with you, of course, at the helm. So I love hearing
Oh, I
that.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
and to that point, there are some many successful negotiations that went through.
yes.
So an update on that is the WGA came to the table. Everyone came to the table, and they have now signed an agreement.
Yeah.
It's right now SAG-AFTRA, so it affects the actors.
Hmm.
And so, in solidarity, writers are hopeful that it will also come to pass.
Hmm.
We're seeing that in the medical field and so forth
Yeah.
as well. And so all of those things affect not only those folks, but you think about all of the other adjacent industries like
Hmm.
craft services, our designers, the families of even our staff members who are working in Los Angeles, and
Mhm.
things aren't getting started.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really needs to. So thank you for
Yeah.
mentioning that and
Of
our
course.
program.
Yeah. Well, again, I so much appreciate your insight. And I'm wondering now, given that you have already mentioned a couple, but I'd love to spotlight your work, right? Your current projects, any upcoming projects. So please share with our audience, our viewers, our listeners, our readers, what can they expect from you and our beautiful, wonderful theater department?
Absolutely. Thanks for that opportunity. So I am in the middle of directing The Importance of Being Earnest. It's
Yay.
called A Trivial Play for Serious People by Oscar Wilde. And it's very exciting, given that we are able to celebrate Oscar Wilde's work
Mm-hmm.
and put a little bit of a new take or a new spin on it. There's
Ooh,
a very special moment at the end of the show, which I hope if you're listeners and readers come to see, that they will celebrate along with us and honor Wilde's ingenious way of how he tells a story.
yeah.
And so that is at the forefront of what we're doing. And we're in the spring where we have a musical
Oh,
and
lovely.
a play with music. So not quite a musical. The musical itself, small musical, I Love You Because, not a very known musical to many of our listeners, I'm sure, but is a really sweet, romantic, light comedy about relationships. And in the spring, we just received notice that we got rights to Peter and the Starcatcher. So
Oh,
I
wow.
know that many might know the title, but it has a lot to do with Peter Pan, which maybe you
Yeah.
have heard of. And it's going to be a really terrific time. We actually are moving. Most folks who may be listening have known our work if they've come to see it in the main auditorium,
Hmm.
and we are moving to a new space, which
Hmm.
is really exciting.
Yeah.
And So, just to let the viewers know, you won't be coming to the auditorium. You'll be coming to the SN building where you will see Ernest and subsequent shows there as we're working collaboratively with our visual and performing arts in sharing our spaces on campus.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I'm super excited about, and we are in the pretty serious planning stages of, is our Entertainment Technology or NTech Academy,
Ooh.
where we are working with our local unions, our local IATSE unions, to train our students and outside people coming in. And so we are at the forefront of being a training ground for, for the industry.
Yeah.
And I am so excited about that because it not only puts GCC on a very significant map and gives us focus, but we are actually contributing to the solution of having more technicians and doing that locally. So
That's
hopefully
incredible.
we'll get to tell more about that in the near future.
Yes, I can't wait. I mean I'm I'm just so excited. That's incredible news. I of
Yes.
course am going to see Importance of Being Earnest. It's one of my favorite plays. And now that I know what to look forward to for spring, I mean I would come no matter what. But yeah, that's really exciting. And of course this new wonderful program, um, it sounds really incredible and innovative. So I'm really excited to see what happens with that. Well, is there anything else you wish to share? All of your contact information, of course, will be available on our Chaparral edition, but just for our audio listeners, this is Jeanette Farr-Harkins. You can find her through our campus directory, the head of our wonderful theater division, or department, I should say. But any other things you wish to share before we finish for today?
I think my last thought, since it ties into our theme of fear or being scared. So we're often afraid of the unknown.
Mm.
And I always tell my students, who have never gone to see a piece of theater before, that there is nothing like the live theater experience
Hmm.
because you're sharing in that community, you're breathing the same air with other people, and you're interacting with the actors. In fact, the actors need your energy.
Hmm.
And so, if there's any hesitation or fear of what it's like to come to the theater, GCC is a great place to start because you're among friends and we just love what we do.
Yeah.
So give it a shot. And I have a feeling you'll be hooked.
I think so. Again, as a fairly new faculty member, I can only speak to my experience, but I was also a student many moons ago. And it's really special to participate in theater it's all meaningful, but especially meaningful to your peers. You can really tell in that environment just how much it matters to them that you're there. So, yes, of
I
course,
appreciate that.
we
Mm-hmm.
always want to advocate for our arts departments, but especially our theater, given, our interview with you. So, thank you so much for making time for us today.
Oh, my
Again,
pleasure.
of course. My name is Romy again, and this has been our October interview with Jeanette Farr-Harkins. And again, if you have any questions, any of our listeners or readers, you can reach out to us at chaparral@glendale.edu. Again, that's chaparral@glendale.edu. If you have any questions or submissions, Aisha and myself would love to hear from you. All right, well, I think that's it. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye, listeners.